And now we're recording, so we'll bash away. So, okay, everyone, sorry about that, and I hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience to wait around there for a couple of minutes. We have got everything sorted, so welcome to you all to the 12th session of the 4C initiative. So, as before, the session will be recorded and will be available from the free resources section of the website. It should be up in the next couple of days. And I'd also like to remind you that Sandra's session from Tuesday is now up, so you're able to access that from straight after the session if you missed it first time round. I'll just make a quick mention of our sponsors as usual, who are Nominate Trust and Cambridge University Press. So special thanks to them. Without them, none of these sessions would be possible. So we'll have to mention them. I think everyone's kind of used to the system now. For any newcomers, you've been muted on entry into the session, and so therefore any questions or any communication, you can put that into the chat function, which you'll see on the right-hand side there. So we're extremely lucky today to have Michele Conway here to speak to us about using interactive whiteboards in the classroom. She'll be using some Hitachi software, but we'll be giving us very kind of general ideas for possible uses of interactive whiteboards in the classroom, which I'm sure will be extremely useful to us all. I'd like to take the time to thank Michele for taking the time out of her schedule to talk to us about this topic. So a little bit about Michele. Michele is an Oxford graduate and was a mathematics teacher for 27 years. She was also head teacher of a girls' secondary school for 8 years. So she has been now working for Cambridge Hitachi for 9 years, where she writes, runs, and organizes their training courses for interactive whiteboards. And she does this in 17 different countries. So I think I'd better hand you over to Michele now that we've lost a bit of time, so we better get cracking. So she's going to give about a 40-minute presentation. There'll then be a little bit of time for questions, and we'll do these through the chat function, as I said, and Michele can work her way through them as time permits. So I think we'll get cracking. Are you ready to go then, Michele?
I am indeed, yes.
Okay, so I'll just pass over presenter privileges to you. Just give me 1 second. So you have it now. You should have control. So you should be able to share your desktop there now.
I've got nothing. How do I? There's nothing coming up about sharing desktop.
No. If you just go up to the top left-hand corner there, you'll see share desktop. You've got share document, share application, and share desktop. Yeah, there you go.
I've got it. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I must apologise also for my computer, which decided to blue screen at 10 to 4, always pick their convenient moments, and also apologise for the background noise, because I'm having to use a phone-in connection. I'm having to use my office desk, so I'm afraid there will be background noise from the office coming up. Now, I suspect a number of you have used an interactive whiteboard, and I suspect there are also some of you who've logged in because what you'd actually like to see is what a whiteboard will do, having not actually used one yourself. So I'm hoping that the contents of this session will work well for everybody. What I want to do is talk about some general ideas for using interactive whiteboards, both in primary schools and secondary schools. So I hope that's okay with everybody. I'm going to start by looking at some of the most basic functions of an interactive whiteboard. As you can see in front of you at the moment, I'm sharing my desktop with you, and you have a clean page of an interactive whiteboard and a toolbar. A slightly complicated toolbar because I was going to put in a simpler one, but computer crashing has rather put paid to that. But we can still look at some very simple principles. The ideas that I want to put to you today will apply equally to any sort of interactive whiteboard software. Most interactive whiteboard softwares do actually do the same type of things. They do it in a slightly different way. If you're using a board from Smart, for instance, instead of having the toolbar, just having the toolbar, you will also have almost a Windows Microsoft type interface at the top of the page. If you're using a Promethean board, there will also be a toolbar. With Hitachi software, we run it on a toolbar. So there are a number of different ways of running it, but please, I'm not going to bog you down in the details of how this particular type of software works. What I want to do is to talk about general principles, and I'm going to start with the really very simple. All interactive whiteboards have numbers of different coloured pens. This has got a few scattered around, So for instance, here's a red one, and I'm going to write the number 1 with it. Here's a green one, I'm going to write the number 3 with it. There's a blue one there, and I'm going to write the number 7 with it. What else have we got? I've got a black one, I'm going to put the number 9 up, and I've got various highlighters. I'm actually going to write using this highlighter, so I'm going to put the number 6 in highlighter. If I need additional colours, and that one's decided it's going to be spotty, so I'm going to start by making it unspotty. So let me just take these out and make them unspotty. I'm going to select that. Let me just change this for a second. Sorry about this. There we go. Set that into its default. So I've now got an unspotty one. So if I want additional colours, in all whiteboard software there are ways of producing additional colours. So if I want additional plain colours, and as you can see, or you've already seen, we can also do them in dotted lines as well. I can produce additional highlighters and various special effects, which I'll come to in a minute. But back to the basics. Here we've got numbers written in different colours. If I'm looking at a class, what can I do with these? I've just got a set of numbers which are written. Well, if I look at my toolbar, about halfway up I have a select key. So if I pick my select key up, as it will with many other programs, I can use this to just move the numbers round, should I want to. As well as moving them round, I can make them bigger, make them smaller, I can rotate them should I feel so inclined, so I could rotate my 3 if I wanted to. But what use is this in a classroom? Well, if you're teaching basic elementary maths, or even maths to 3rd years, year 9s, right up through the 6th form in fact, you can use just simple coloured numbers for mathematics and say to the pupils, so for instance if they're very young pupils, you can say to them, can you pick me out some odd numbers? So there's an odd number, and there's another odd number. Can you pick me up an odd number with 3 digits? So yes, we could do 791. And then you could ask the question, what's the largest odd number I can make from these with 3 digits? Well, that would be 973. Let me just take that one out of the way for the minute. You can ask them other questions. So with more advanced pupils, you could ask them questions about whether the numbers were prime or not. So for instance, I could put up a number 963 and ask the simple question, is that a prime number? Obviously it's divisible by 3, but what if I changed my number slightly? What if the number was 9,600 and, let's say, 21. I'm writing in strawberry now. So 9,621. How can I tell whether that's divisible by 3, 4, whether it's a prime number? So you can have all sorts of interesting conversations with pupils about what makes these numbers odd, even, divisible by 3, divisible by 9. So for instance, the question, is 963 divisible by 9? Well, yes it is, because the sum of the digits, 9 plus 6 plus 3, let me just put in some little plus signs, 9 plus 6 plus 3 is 18, and that's divisible by 9. So you can then hold more discussions. We could look at the number 961, for example. Again, I can select it, 961, and we can discuss whether that's prime or not. How would we test it for being a prime number? So you can go from very simple concepts, such as, if they're little, write me down a 3-digit even number, to the complicated matter of, with these numbers on the page, what's the largest prime number that you can make, and how do you check that it's prime? So coloured pens aren't just there to change, for a change of colour, or just to draw pictures. They can actually be used for other things as well. Let's have a look at another application, just of simple coloured pens. If I'm teaching a foreign language, and one that has different genders, let's say, if I consistently write the masculine nouns, let's look at French for instance. Le livre is a masculine noun. Le cahier, so let me just take this out. Le cahier, the exercise book, is also a masculine noun.